Number 1. The initial trailer showed characters with different abilities. In the initial trailer for Five Nights at Freddy's, some eagle-eyed fans were quick to notice that Bonnie had the ability to run. But as most of you would know, this was given to Foxy, and Bonnie was given the ability to teleport into any room along his path. Scott changed this by hearing the feedback of the fans. Number 2. Scott Cawthon voiced Phone Guy in the first 2 games. Sometimes when you are short on cash and the sole developer of a video game, you are forced to take on that role. Thankfully, though, Five Nights at Freddy's isn't a game that is based heavily around dialogue. This would most likely be the main reasons as to why Scott had decided to voice a character in his own game. Number 3. Scott Cawthon was the only developer. Developing a video game is no easy feat, especially when you are the only developer. Most games will have a development team working on them that depends on which company you work on. This is why Five Nights at Freddy's is so intriguing, as Scott Cawthon was the sole developer of the series. It's safe to say that even the most skilled developer would have struggled with such a task. Not to mention that Scott even met ridiculously crazy deadlines for each game in the series. Number 4. The game originally had a lives counter. I think it would be fair to say that a lives counter would have drastically altered the playing experience and may have even caused issues with breaking the player's immersion within the game, as the sense of urgency and survival wouldn't be as present. As we know, video games change very frequently throughout their development cycle, as the developers often find better ways to improve the quality and playing experience of their game. The game was initially planned to feature a lives counter. Imagine how different the game would feel. Number 5. Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is a prequel. This is where things start to get complicated, as many fans do not realize that the games are all set in different time periods, and the storylines do not align with the release order of the games. First in the series is Five Nights at Freddy's 4, which is where the very first murder occurred, also known as the Bite of 83. Next in the timeline comes Five Nights at Freddy's sister location. After that is Five Nights at Freddy's 2, which is set around the time of 1987. Set 20 years after the events of the second game is Five Nights at Freddy's, which is also the end of Fazbear Entertainment. Last, but not least, comes the events of Five Nights at Freddy's 3, where you play as a security guard at the horror attraction Fazbear's Fright, which is based on the events of the entire series. We make a lot of facts, contents for anime and celebrities, so if you enjoyed this video, we would love to hear what facts content you want to watch next in the comments.